Hello and welcome. Happy Vocation Sunday. Today I'll be telling my vocation story, which, with many other vocation stories, gives testimony to the mercy of God, the care and love and concern of our Mother Mary, and the effect of the prayers of the faithful. And so, my story begins in kindergarten, where my first inclination of priesthood was when all the class was sitting around the teacher, and she was going through the Stations of the Cross for kids, and she turned the page to the 12th station, which is Our Lord Dies on the Cross, and my vision got all blurry as my eyes filled with tears, and I pointed at the picture and shouted, "I want to be a priest," and started crying. But time passed on. It wasn't until 8th grade, I was attending the Heights School in Potomac, Maryland, which many of you are familiar with, that I read a book that changed my life, called Our Lady of Fatima by Thomas Walsh. And I was totally edified by the kids who sacrificed their food, candy, which I loved, or which I really enjoyed then and now, and the sweetness of our Mother, of Our Lady, through the documentaries of the apparition, and but time passed on, and throughout high school, I really made the faith my own. I fell in love with Jesus and got to know John Vianney, and thoughts of priesthood came to mind. And so I reached out eventually to the then Vocations director, Father Rob Penke, and communicated with him a little bit here and there, and I applied, I got accepted, and I was sent to St. John's in Queens. That's where they had the college seminary at the time, while I attended St. Joseph's Seminary, also known as Dunwoody, up in Yonkers. But early on in the year, I met a wonderful Catholic girl and fell in love, and which made the year very difficult. But I was communicating with everybody that I needed to be, and but with my faults and my failings, at the end of the year, my heart was torn in two, and I decided to leave. And so I eventually transferred out and attended St. John's University for about a semester, and then transferred to Catholic University, where I finished my degree. But relationship didn't work out, and there's some other things here and there that were happening that really caused me to be overly sensitive to tragedies in the world, and I was trying to reconcile the problem of pain and the existence of evil with the reality of the existence of such a good God. And had only I paid more attention in theology class, but no. And so after college, I became a DC police officer, and the thoughts of the priesthood never left me. And it was every day that I'd be thinking about the priesthood. And at the time, I was very angry about, and because I did not want to say yes, I did not want to be a priest, and but it made a real struggle because I was combating what I believed to be our Lord's will, and just being receptive or open to open to even talking with our Lord and praying with Him about it. I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so, so I was policing for a time, and I did have an experience where I was driving home from policing one day after work, and it was a late night, and no one was I was driving through Rock Creek Park and no one was there. And so I threw on the brakes and kind of angrily, but honestly, asked, "What do you want from me?" And a grace that kind of calmed me down. Kind of it felt like the experience of oil being poured upon my head and then onto my heart and just calming me down. And I at the same time, the priesthood came to mind, and I remember I had two options I could choose. I had the freedom to choose either to just rest and know of God's presence, or remain in my hurt and reject it. And I chose the latter and remained in my hurt because I was angry and rejected that consolation. And so I continued on my way eventually until not wanting to be a police officer, I transitioned into teaching, and where I eventually taught fourth grade at the Heights School, and thoughts of priesthood still kind of were present. And one day after work, I thought of the gift of time that we have, which is dear, and unlike food and clothing and whatnot, it's which comes and goes in different quantities. Time is something you will never get back. And so I thought of the long hours that police officers devote to remaining on the shift, the long hours teachers give to being a good teacher on and off the job, or the school day hours. And but then an alteration in my heart and my mind occurred at this moment where a desire came to be present in my heart, in my mind, which was I said, sitting there at the desk looking at my watch, all I want to be 24/7 is a priest of Jesus Christ. And so it's like, oh man, what was that? And like, why? Because prayer is just this thing. It doesn't. God isn't changed by it. Well, we are. So the prayers of the faithful are so essential, and Our Lady and the mercy of God, it all is there and present. And so I said, all right, I'll give that some thought. And eventually coming around to the point where I was about, going to say yes and commit and apply to the seminary, had some conflicts that came up. It's kind of like a battling situation kind of thing. And I was going back and forth with a priest friend, and he said, Conor, here, look, in a week from now, I'll be celebrating Mass at your parish. Why don't we go to breakfast after Mass? You attend the 9 and we'll go to breakfast after Mass. I say, yeah, sure, it sounds great. And so Sunday rolls around, all week passes by, and I'm at Mass and going back and forth here and there about these things, when at the moment of consecration, another grace was experienced where I had a conviction that, okay, this is what our Lord wants me to do. Despite such and such and blah, 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 I had a conviction that, okay, our Lord wants me to do, apply, and go to the seminary. And so after Mass, I was sitting there at breakfast with my priest friend, and he said, and I says, Jackie, you don't have to worry about anything. It's all good. Our Lord took care of it. I was, during the consecration, I just kind of had this moment of conviction that I think our Lord wants me to do this. And my priest friend, Father Regis, sat back in the seat, and he says, Conor, you have no idea. I've been praying so hard throughout the whole week as to what to say to you, and last night in my prayer, it came to me, our Lord says to me, came in my prayer, Regis, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of it. and so on and so forth. And I communicated with the vocations director, Father Ivany, applied again. I was accepted, and here I am. And the result of this, of the sacrifices and prayers of the faithful, the mercy of our Lord, and saying yes to what we can discern to be God's will in a given moment, each day that is given to us, each day, each moment, is the result is peace and joy, and freedom, and harmony. Creature responding in right response to the Creator, Son to the Father, and this is what our Lord allows. It's natural. And so I thank you for all of your prayers, and know of mine for you sincerely so, and I wish you well, and thanks for listening. God bless.